Hello, Brother Monroe here. Welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts with special guest and is historian in residence. Is that about
so.
is that about right?
At least until you evict me.
No, we're definitely not. So today we're still in Division 4, and we're looking through our builds and which ship are we going to be building today?
So we're going to start off today with as close as we can get to a Kongo class battle cruiser.
Yeah, and I should remember to share my screen with you, shouldn't I?
Might help.
Professionalism there. So the idea here is to try and recreate as best we can the ship, and we have some issues with that because of the hulls available. So, and we have actually tried doing Kongo already, but we ran into one or two issues, technical issues, with the recording. So we have talked about this already, but would you like to say why we ended up picking the Modernized Dreadnought 1, even though it is a battleship hull, to represent Kongo?
Yes, so it's basically, firstly, well, at the time setting that we've got it at, all the battlecruiser hulls are monstrously too large, and also the hulls are completely the wrong profile.
Yeah.
So although this is a modernized Dreadnought 1 hull, it's got almost the correct hull profile, especially this forward area where you've got kind of an instep for the casemates, and then the quarterdeck drop aft, which is very important because, as we found earlier with the Andrea Doria, if you don't have that step down, then it's actually very difficult to get the correct super firing turret positions.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and I seem to remember, because there's a bit of variation within the class,
Yes.
especially after their kind of refits.
Yeah, because you basically got one slightly earlier refit, two that happen not quite simultaneously but close enough, and then lastly you have the last refit, which actually is basically also a design study for the Yamato's bridge tower, so very distinct again.
And I believe we kind of settled on trying to replicate Haruna, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Yeah. So which tower was it that we thought would kind of fit? Was it one of the pagodas? I seem to remember.
Yes, it was. It was quite a relatively large one.
So of the pagodas, we've got this one, which is the advanced, which has this nice semicircular bridge position, and then we have the big one, which has a more kind of oval, almost pillbox-like shape to it. And I think the standard, is the same shape, just a bit smaller.
I think we were going to end up going with the standard because it's not quite the absurdities of the Fusos and Iseis, which will be the big one.
Yeah, and we'll be doing Fuso Ise later on in Division, I think it's Division 3. So viewers can look forward to that one. So standard pagoda on the front.
Correctly, it was Hiei that's the one with the really fancy Yamato one, which would be the advanced one.
Yeah, and then I seem to remember we had quite a lot of discussion over the rear towers, and it was I think it was one of the tall secondary towers, because they have this this sort of A-frame like shape.
Yes, because it's a little bit weird because when you're looking at Haruna after her refit, she has this basically this kind of almost upended Toblerone style rear tower, but annoyingly her tripod mast is forward of the aft funnel. And it's actually the superstructure on its own is slightly smaller than the funnel, so I think we ended up going with the smallest of this design tower.
So that would be the tall one, this one.
Yeah, tall one. Yeah,
and then
because all the others are So the funnel we needed a slightly thinner but taller one aft, which would go directly in front of the rear section, and then a slightly shorter, slightly fatter one forward.
I think we went for the two complexes, so that they kind of looked like that, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a bodge because obviously the funnels are slightly different thicknesses as well, but it's close enough for government work.
Yeah, we're trying to replicate the results as best we can.
And then we'll have to adjust all the spacing in a minute anyway.
Yeah,
because of the turrets.
Yeah, we'll do all that. And she had 14-inch guns, from what I remember.
So we got twin super-firing 14-inch guns forward. And then because it's a Kongo class battlecruiser, so it still has a lot of the design paradigms from World War One. She's got 2 turrets aft, but they're not entirely technically super firing because, as you just put it, there's one on the quarterdeck, and then on the actual ship, the aft of the ship is much longer, and the final turret is kind of perched halfway along there. But in this scenario, well, it's basically that.
Yeah.
This is the problem. The Dreadnought, it's not got quite the same hull length, so we're doing our best.
With the forward barbette, did it stick out like that? Because I could use a slightly smaller one so that it's more.
The gun turrets actually overhung the barbette slightly.
Okay, I might be able to fit it on a medium 2. Which does have that kind of effect.
Yeah, it looks a little bit comical, but it's closer.
Yeah.
Might as well go with that.
All right. And then she had casement guns still. I seem to remember.
She had a few left.
And there was an issue where the real ship had a mounting sort of here. From what I remember you telling me before, is that right?
Yes. So the ship had retained 8 of its 6-inch guns. So we want to use historically there would have been a casement mounting right at the end of the deck, just right around about there, but that doesn't exist. So the blanked off casement. The first blanked off casement was right forward.
This one,
between the forward gun turrets. So in this case, I think if we start aft, and then work our way forwards.
So 2, 4, 6, 8.
8. There we go. And then we still got the blanked off one forward, which is again close enough. The only other thing is if we again, although the hull is not absolutely spot on, but if we want to be a little bit more faithful to the way the ship's laid out, we want to bring the guns forward, bring everything forward. But given that we've already got a forward weight offset, we'll see what happens. Technically, that forward gun should basically be at the I think on the forwardmost mounting point that this is allowing.
Yeah, it should be kind of there.
And then everything shuffles forward to compensate.
I don't know if the Congos were famously badly balanced or not, but you could have something like that. But it gives you an enormous 4-weight offset. We can always come back to that. It's possible.
Yeah, we can always revisit
something else. Might be able to do some naughty tricks like putting an underwater torpedo launcher on the back or something.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that even though this is a modernised dreadnought, we've got a minimum displacement of 49,000 tons, which is a little bit over what they historically were.
Yeah, we'll try and get as close as we can to the historical amount, but we may end up being a little bit over. So, what about speed? Because they were relatively fast ships, weren't they?
We've still got the 3 pairs of twin 5-inch to install.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
That's all right.
Yeah. Absolutely, because they were kind of here-ish somewhere.
So in theory, we should have one directly behind the bridge, one opposite the front funnel.
And
then the other two are actually tucked between the two funnels.
If we can separate the funnels a bit and get those ones in pretty easily. And the other one will be here. If
you can get those in there, then theoretically that's actually about
there we
right.
go.
Yeah,
it's not too bad. And they do actually work.
Yeah.
And then presumably just a whole bunch of AA guns everywhere. Did they go for duals or triples or?
They actually used triples for the most part. They did love their, but they had a mixture of singles, twins, and triples. So it's the wonderful 25mm aircraft warning device.
It seems about right. It's just you kind of look at it and then you just see some barrels sticking out. Okay.
Right.
Speed.
So then speed 30.5.
And we'll come back to the range once we've sorted the engines and things, because that will change.
Bulkheads are going to be standard. Because it's pretty
As with all, we're giving all the ships a regular crew of 50. Crew quarters, they weren't renowned for being particularly cramped.
No, so same as cramped. Well, the Japanese quarters were standard for them. Everyone else would regard them as cramped. So we can probably play around with that if we need to. So we've got oil fuel.
Yep. And did they have
or we're going to use
top ends, or did they kind of? I know during the war this will change, but
during the war they have absolutely awful fuel but especially by the end of the war they're taking on basically almost pure crude. So if we go with oil 1, that's probably about reflective of their mid to late war fuel load. They do have forced draft. The turbines are actually quite new, so probably geared 2. There's a little bit of auxiliary machinery, so we can say AUX 1 or AUX 2.
And then kind of shaft 2.
Yeah.
Semi-balanced rudder.
Balanced, yeah. Might as well. So,
what was their steering type?
That would have been, that would have probably been electrical.
1 or 2?
Go with 2 because they're fairly recent refits.
Their armor quality?
I'd probably say Krupp 2. Because it is a sort of, it's a 1910s era ship, and they do have Vickers armor, so it's a step above basic Krupp armor, but it's not the kind of armor. It's not the armor plate quality you'd find in World War II.
Yeah, not the latest and greatest.
My rule of thumb is kind of Krupp 3 is rough. I use that as roughly World War II standard, and then Krupp 4 is kind of German or British armor plate.
And then barbette thickness, probably standard, I would imagine. Or were they renowned for having particularly?
I mean, the battle cruisers, they're not particularly heavily armored, so I mean, 13.5 inches of barbette armor sounds a lot, but it's it's okay. So let's say barbette 2.
Okay. Anti-torpedo protection.
2. Actually, no, 3 because they did receive some bulges.
Okay.
They did receive some upgrades, but there wasn't. Obviously, there's a limited amount you can do, especially with the fact they were improving speed.
Well, weirdly, the game doesn't really mention bulges. It's just 1 bulkhead, 2 bulkheads, 3 bulkheads, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So double bottom hull. Did they have reinforced and watertight doors and things like that put in?
I'd say reinforced 1 because they did upgrade the internals a bit. Anti-flood's fairly standard. And then Citadel 3. Because it's still very much a World War II armor, a World War I armor layout.
I'm assuming they were using cordite and picric.
Yes.
Set up with a kind of standard shell, which and I remember us talking about this last time. It wasn't spot on, but a shell weight of 875 kilos. The muzzle velocity
a little bit heavy, but there's no perfect balance.
No. And then their turret rotation mechanisms? They have been...
I think we gave them advanced hydraulic. No, we gave them. What did we give them? Because they did get them upgraded. I think we gave them electrical in the end.
Okay. And then I think it was an enhanced reload.
The enhanced one. Yeah, everyone's basically getting enhanced. And then the rangefinders, they're pretty good coincidence ones, so that should be probably C4.
Hydrophone? I think they...
Yeah, minimal equipment. Radio...
I know it's I mean, it's just going to add some weight. It won't make much game difference. Yeah. But did the Japanese have RDF at all, or was it?
They did, but not on their ships. It was all land based. So advanced radios.
It would be an advanced, but we're slightly overweight. So I'll leave. We'll try and get it in.
Yeah, but mind you, we've still got the armor to deal with.
True. And then radar. Did they end up
if we're going with the late war Japanese, we can give them Gen 1. Otherwise, no.
I think it's give them their best shot kind of thing. Okay, yeah. And then the armor, which is going to be less.
Less, yes, because there's 8 inches on the main belt.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this is where we ran into a slight issue because 9 is the minimum that a battleship hull will let you equip. It's really the only difference between battlecruisers and battleships in the game if you armor them up right. So yeah, we're stuck with the 9.
Yeah, can't go any lower. But
all the others we can get spot on.
Yeah. What's we got? For the forward belt 3 inches. And the aft belt the same. And we've got the deck armor now. Just triple check because that was pretty much the only thing they really did do in terms of improvement. I've got the document, my little PDF up here. So the deck armor actually went up to 4.7 at the thickest points, and then the 3.1 at the fore and aft.
Okay, and then on the
conning tower's 9,
and superstructure.
Give it 1.5 is basically splinter proof, and that's about it.
And then the
turret armor, considerably less, it's 10 inches.
And on the tops?
4 inches. I think they're 4 inches. Let me just double check. I don't have it out there. We'll give it 4 inches. For the minute, and then we've got.
There's not much we can do with the 5-inch guns, but we can change the casement armor.
Yes. So the casements. That's the barbette. No, that's the barbette. That's not helping. Search for casement in this rather large document. Casements are 1.5 inch. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me just triple check like that. No, sorry, 6 inches on the casements.
Okay. It also has top of the casements, but
which
we can't. 3.9 is maxed out. Yeah. So.
Well, we are underweight. We're hilariously overweight compared to the historic ship design, but I think that's a function of the hull because it's thicker.
Yeah, we're about 10,000 over what they historically were, but again, it's
a bit of an odd one because Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts is usually pretty good for this kind of thing. But yeah, I think it's because we're building on a battleship hull rather than anything else.
The range is a little high We could drop that.
Yeah, the range
bit.
itself, though, was supposed to be 19,000 kilometers, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
But again, that's with a much finer hull, so
yeah,
it's it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, it works for what it is, but it's probably going to be the crudest one of I think of the ones we've gone for, because we're having to basically build a battleship variant of a ship.
We'll try and persuade the devs to make a a Kongo class battlecruiser hull.
And I mean, we started out with a displacement with a hull that's physically larger anyway because of this displacement.
I'm just going to try as best I can to, which might mean moving some of the secondary guns, just so, or I'll put them back in a minute, just so that we have a chance of
not becoming a U-boat.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm sure I can squeeze in. There we go. That's not too far off.
No.
This one is getting in the way of the rear gun a little bit. So let's see if I can edge it back a little bit. There we go. That's a bit better. And then hopefully when we move these back, oh no, still a 4-weight offset somehow.
Maybe move the bridge back.
Yeah. It is a problem, which is a game problem, not a problem with the hull at all. I think that's probably as much as I'm going to be able to do without something really complex. But it's under 5%. It's not
too bad.
It's not terrible, and it does look Kongo-esque.
Yeah, it looks like a Kongo. It just looks like a Kongo that's been through the compressor.
Yeah. Has had everything kind of shifted back and squished a bit. I think this turret here, I think this is the end of the main belt right here. So it is slightly hanging out, but again, trying to replicate the ship as best we can. Sometimes that means a game taking a back seat. Sometimes it means trying to get the thing right. Well, we'll have a look at her underway, and I wonder how she's going to do, because she's a little bit unusual in this category. She does look good though.
Yes.
And I think definitely looks the part.
Yeah, it looks the part right up until you get to the quarterdeck.
Yeah.
It's like if you just don't see anything past X turret, you'd be fairly convinced that
hold on. There you go.
It is a Kongo.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That looks more like a Kongo.
There we go. Thumbnail. Well, thank you very much, and we will be back for the next ship in the division. And I'm excited to see how she gets on. Well, thank you very much, and I hope those of you watching will see you again soon for some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Bye for now.